In today's discussion topic, we will be continuing our discussion on TGA in the context of decomposition. If you missed our previous video, TGA, also known as thermogravimetric analysis, is essentially an oven with a very sensitive balance, where the sample is loaded onto a holder, suspended from a hang-down wire, and placed in a furnace to be heated isothermally, or at a controlled rate. Throughout the industry, the final temperature in a TGA experiment is normally between 300 to 400 degrees Celsius. As the temperature begins to reach a very high level, let's say greater than 200 degrees Celsius, you may begin to see what appears to be a step. Typically, this would correspond to the decomposition of your sample. It's important to differentiate a step corresponding to solvent loss versus a step corresponding to decomposition. One way to approach this would be to monitor the crystallization solvents used to isolate your sample. Let's say, for this example, the sample was isolated from ethanol and water. If the onset temperature for the step is 250 degrees Celsius, it's unlikely related to the solvents, since we are at a temperature much higher than their respective boiling points. But if you're working with a high boiling solvent, such as DMSO, we may need further investigation to confirm. There are practical reasons to understanding the decomposition of the sample as a function of temperature. For one, it sheds light on the temperatures that must absolutely be avoided throughout the development process of the compound. In addition, this information is utilized to perform characterization with additional instruments, such as differential scanning calorimetry or DSC, which we will discuss in the near future. To briefly explain decomposition of your sample when running DSC can cause physical damage to the instrument itself. In addition, the results of these two experiments are typically overlaid with one another, so any step loss that can be cross-referenced with events in the DSC. Thank you all for joining, and I look forward to seeing you in our next classroom, where we will have our final discussion on TGA.